Canines are our passion. They are our addiction. They are our way of life, right down to the very core. And without them, we would be lost. The canines of this world really are something to behold. They assist us at work. They accompany us at home. And they perform for us in the field. No matter where we go, they are by our side. Canines really are a ride or die, and for that, we are grateful. This podcast will showcase working canines of various breeds and disciplines as we search for those canines and their handlers who are always striving to be the best at what they do. Those who are always grinding. Those who are always pushing the limits. Those who are always dogging. Join us on our adventures as it is sure to be a wild ride. I'm your host, Bryce Matthews.
And I'm your co-host, Stephen Basham.
And this is Semper Doggin'. I tell you what, anytime I get you two together, or either one of you by yourselves, it's just nonstop bragging. It doesn't stop.
I mean, somebody's got to rag on you.
Oh boy.
That's right.
Well,
I mean, what would you do without friends like us?
I don't know what I'd do, really. I mean, life would be pretty boring. Life would be pretty boring. But anyways, welcome, guys. Welcome to another episode of the Semper Doggin' podcast. I got two hooligans on here with me today. This could get sideways really quick. I don't know. We'll find out.
Is this live already?
Oh, yeah. I hit the record button a while ago. I didn't tell you.
Oh, boy. Yeah, well.
Here we go. Hold on tight.
Welcome to the circus.
Yeah, it is a circus.
Not my monkeys, not my show.
Yeah, not your show today. Definitely some monkeys involved, though. But, Basham, what do you know, bud? Anything going good over your way?
Not much. Got the dogs loaded, and we're gonna try a new pup out tonight.
Trying pup out? What are you trying out?
That little drive-line pup that's a litter mate to Axel. I'm gonna take him for a roll tonight.
Oh, gotcha. You haven't hunted him yet. I thought you hunted him already.
No, he's the one that was down at Michelle and Ben's.
Gotcha.
Well, if you need some fuel for it, I've got plenty of it.
He's got the go-go food. All right, guys. Well, that other voice you're hearing there, that's a familiar voice from one of the other podcasts here on the Extreme Performance Outdoor Network. Today, we are lucky enough to be joined by Mr. Heath Hyatt, hailing out of Reiner, Virginia. Well, you know, bud.
Oh, I don't know it's about bedtime. These 3:30, 4 o'clock mornings are getting me.
I tell you what, I had to get adjusted here this last week once I got home from the schedule of hunting down there with you all last week. I was not on the coon hunter schedule.
Well, we got some snow. What's today? Wednesday? Yeah, I don't even know what day it is. Wednesday. We got some snow Monday morning, and so I've been getting up. Of course, you know it takes me an hour and 20 minutes wherever we go hunting. So I've been getting up earlier to try to go and check the roads for daylight. So yeah, I was in bed the other night by like 8:15. I was like, I'm done.
That bear hunting schedule is different.
It is different. Guys, that's kind of what we're going to talk about here today. We're just going to go through and just kind of shoot the bull on some bear hunting stories and get you guys to know Heath a little bit better. If you haven't went over and checked him out on the journey, that'll be your podcast host over there. It'd be Mr. Heath Hyatt. And I kind of met Heath through the bear hunting, and it's been a kind of a wild ride, but it's formed a really good friendship. I actually just listened to your podcast today, Heath, on the friendship that you formed with your buddy up there in New York. That was pretty good. Not bad.
Oh, Anthony,
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you, man, I have, and Bob is down here this week hunting with me. He's from New York also. Like, I've met a really good group of guys from New York. And I mean, you got Anthony and Rodney, and Bob and Ben, that I have met through hunting. Met through one another. I met Bob through Anthony. Anthony and I, of course, if you listen to the podcast, you'll know we met through dogs, and Dale Cameron kind of put us in touch with each other because we were both on the East Coast, and I mean he's been one of my like closest, and when I say closest, I mean like we stay in contact, we travel. I said it in the podcast. We've traveled all over the country hunting. I mean, we've been to New Mexico, we've been to Maine, to Canada. We've been everywhere hunting together, and you know that it's just one of those people that once they come into your life, they're there. There's no going away.
Yeah, that's kind of how it was with Basham. He's like a stray cat. He kind of came into my life and he never left.
You're like something we can't even talk about, buddy. You came in and it was like an old rash that you just can't get rid of. It itches, it scratches, and no matter what kind of medicine you give it, it just sticks around.
Like something Ajax won't take off.
No. It's that kind of relationship. But, no.
Yeah.
So, guys, Heath and I, we met, what was it, 4 or 5 years ago? I want to say it was, I don't know if it was 4 or 5 years ago. One of the two.
Yeah, it was the Freedom Hunt that we done with Chad McCoy.
Yep.
And Fielder had set it up. Well, he'd set it up for you to come and film.
Yep.
So let's say that was the year the year before COVID, because it was it was September
2019, was it?
That sounds right. Yep.
So I guess 4 years now.
It seems longer than that, don't it?
It does. I'm telling you, it does. I think I always get messed up with. I think I've always added a year onto it because I come down that September and hunted it, and then I turned right back around and came back in December.
Okay.
So I made 2 trips in 1 year. I think it's where I always get my years messed up. But yeah, you know, Fielder set that up for us. That was back whenever I was filming for Nightlife on YouTube. And that was a really cool deal that you guys had set up with Freedom Hunters, who we're a partner with here on the Extreme Performance Outdoor Network. And, you know, we got in contact with Chad McCoy. He was selected to come down for that hunt. And Heath, I'll let you take over for a little bit and just kind of tell how he got selected, how your group got involved in that. And then I can kind of maybe, you know, go into my role with it and how we made it all come together for him.
Yeah, so y'all, Steve and Chris had been out to... what's his faces out?
Calvin Redhouse.
Calvin Redhouse.
With Res Hounds.
Was it Rendezvous? What is it?
Res Hounds.
Yep. And Steve and I had conversations, and I'll say this: I'm not military, and that's one of the regrets I've had in my life. I wished I would have went in. Both of my brothers did. One was a Marine. One was in the Army. My grandparent, both my grandpas were, my uncles were, everybody was in the military. And I come out of high school hot-headed and said, somebody's not going to scream in my face, tell me what to do. So that was why I didn't go. And that was actually during 91, which was the the shortest war we've had.
Desert Storm.
And anyway, that's a regret I have. But military is always near and dear to me, I guess, and a lot of it maybe because of my job. But I talked to Steve, and anyway, him or Chris one had put me in contact with Anthony Pace, who is the founder or over the Freedom Hunters. And Anthony and I got set up. Anthony sent me a list of names, and he said, here, pick from these. And I just kind of went down the list, and I think I reached out to like 3 people. And Chad pretty much responded back immediately and said, yes, I'd love to do that. So that's how we ended up picking Chad. And he come in for that hunt, which you were here, and we can talk about it. And then we didn't tree what he wanted. And that was fine because we treed 6 or 9, I can't remember. It was a bunch of bears.
Yeah, we treed a bunch, and right off the bat, too.
Yeah. And we ended up catching that one on the ground. We never could get in to kill it. And
that was a crazy deal. We're going to get into that story because that was wild.
Well, anyway, we didn't kill one during the early season, so Chad come back during December, and we ended up taking a nice boar bear in December for him. And then the next year I did another one with Jason Wentworth from down on the coast of Virginia. And last year and this year, last year and this year, I did not do one, and for other reasons. But I enjoy doing that. Bryce, I don't care anything about taking a bear. I really get the enjoyment out of seeing people at their first tree and having, youth people take the harvest, or people that haven't taken one. That's what makes me happy. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of what happened with that.
Yeah. So Fielder had reached out to me because he was, I believe him and Nick Gilliland were talking for a little bit there. And like everybody might know, if they don't, that Nick Gilliland, he ran a YouTube channel called Nightlife Kennel. And I had started helping Nick out a little bit, making some videos for him, mainly on the coon hunting. And Fielder had reached out to me and wanted to know if I would come down and film for this Freedom Hunters hunt and go bear hunting. And of course I was like, absolutely. Like, I've never went bear hunting. I think it sounds awesome. Something I've never done, and then also to be a part of something so special as the Freedom Hunters hunt. I just couldn't turn down that opportunity. So I really didn't know what I was getting into. I brought my camera system down there, and I was not prepared for the terrain that we were going to be going through whenever the boots hit the ground. I wasn't ready for it. Heath, you didn't tell me about that. You didn't warn me about that.
Who, me?
Yeah, nobody.
Well, it's Virginia. It's the great Appalachian Mountains. I mean, it is what it is.
Ooh. Yeah,
I mean,
it
it's
was
either up
rough.
or down. I mean,
it was rough. But anyways, so we get there and we film for, I think it was 3 days that we were filming for Chad. And you guys can go back on the Nightlife Kennel YouTube channel, and actually you can watch that hunt that we're talking about here, unless it's been taken down. Does anybody know? Has it been taken down?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that. False information, false alarm. Don't go try to find that. You're not going to find it.
Yep, they'll do that.
Hey, Bryce, did you do any homework before this podcast?
Absolutely not. I thought once videos were on YouTube, they were there forever. I didn't know they got taken down.
Unprepared.
Well, I guess the more you know. But anyways,
the video's still there. The video is still there. In fact, I'll even see if I can pull it up. But the podcast is gone.
Well, we didn't do a podcast about it. Not me. I was talking about the video with Nightlife.
Okay, let me confirm while we're talking.
Yeah, so he's going to do a little research that I was supposed to do before this podcast and didn't make it happen. But anyways, one of the craziest parts about this deal was the last day we were all but done hunting, and I believe it was Gus he'd been walking through over where we were hunting and kind of just busting the brush, and his dogs got a bear jumped, and that bear ended up going down into the forbidden area called the Cascades. And when we got down in there, this is a river that is flowing. Looky there. You guys can't see it, but he found the video I was talking about. So yes, you can go on to the Nightlife Kennel YouTube page and look up this hunt, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about here. But we got down into the Cascades, and this bear kept crossing the river. Is it the Stony River, Heath?
Yeah, it's a little Stony Creek, but there's falls. There's two sets of falls in there, and one set of the falls is like 90 foot. And when the water's up just a little bit, the bear can shake the dogs in there pretty easy by going across those falls. And that's exactly, this bear just kept doing figure eights down there, which is normal. Going across the falls, and I mean, he'd throw 2 or 3 dogs out, do it again, throw 2 or 3 dogs out, do it again, and finally there was no dogs left.
There wasn't, but when we were trying to go across there one time, and I was following Heath, and Heath was there, and then he wasn't. He took a nice little dip down in the creek, lost his Garmin, lost his radio, lost it all.
Yes. Yeah, my radio, I had to buy a new one. My Garmin, if my Garmin did not have that bright orange sleeve on it, the cover on it, I would have never seen any of my stuff, because it was laying there and it had not floated off yet. And when I was able to catch my breath, because it literally took my breath, it was so cold. I popped back up and I was like, I started looking and I seen that orange and I reached down there and I felt my radio and my Garmin. So yeah, I was able to retrieve that.
Yeah, so that was the first time across. And we get over there, and I'm trying to keep up with Gus and Chad. So, Chad's military. He's buff. He's fit. Gus is just a mountain man, and that dude can move through the woods like I haven't really ever seen anybody move through the woods. And here I am, the Flatlander, looking like a roly-poly, trying to keep up with everybody. And it wasn't working out very well. And I got down in the laurel thicket, and I got behind in the rocks and just couldn't find anybody. Didn't really know where I was going. I was like, all right, I'm just going to have to follow the dogs. I didn't have a radio, didn't have a Garmin. I didn't have nothing. And I get down to the creek. I'm like, okay, I need to cross. They went back across. And right as I get to the creek's edge, I see Chad. And he went down and he slipped into the creek. It's more like a river than I'd call it creek, but it was flowing. And he slips, and he's got a 45-70 rifle, no sling or nothing. He's just holding on to it. He goes down into the water, and he starts getting taken down river. And I'm like, oh no, like the falls are on the other side. Like this is getting ready to be really, really bad. And his head pops up, and he's literally swimming, and he's got this 45-70 coming through the water to make it back to the bank. And he's just absolutely drenched. He's cold. And he just gets up and he kind of looks at me and he's like, all right, we're going to keep going.
Yeah.
And I don't know how close we were to the Cascades, but in my mind, we were about 10 foot away from it. And I know it was way further than that, but I was really scared for a
y'all were at
second.
the upper falls. So you had a good, I don't know, you had 500 yards to get to the big falls.
Yeah. In my head, though, whenever he went in, I was like, oh no, this is it. we brought this guy on a hunt and this is how it ends. Like, good. But no, that was super exciting. We never did get that bear killed, but even if we didn't take a bear that week right there really it did something for me. It brought me a sense of pride and a sense of, I don't know, meaning, being able to do something for Chad, and Heath and I got to spend a lot of time in the truck with him and just hear his backstory and some of the things that he had done in service and some of the missions that he was a part of. And it was just really, really fulfilling for me to be a part of that.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the military's, like I said, I'm partial to them. I mean, like I said, I know what I go through at work, and it's tenfold for them. So that's, like I said, that's why I started doing the hunts. And like I said, I'm going to continue to do them. Some things didn't work out the last 2 years. So
yeah. But, so after that hunt was over, I didn't want to impose myself on Heath or his group, but I kind of did. And I was like, hey, like, that was really cool. Can I come back and do it again? And, Heath and his group being so gracious, they were like, yeah, man, come on. We'll put you up. We'll take you hunting. And I've kind of just made it an annual thing now. So 4 years in a row, I've been on the first week of December, I go down to Virginia, hang out with Heath and the crew for a week. And it's just a really, really great time. You're not going to find a better group of guys. It's totally different style of hunting than what Basham and I are used to. He and I are kind of loners. And that's just in the coon hunting world. You're out there in the competitions, you're there for yourself and you're hunting by yourself. Whereas the bear hunting, it's really a group effort. It takes a team to make it happen and to do it efficiently. So, it's been really good. And Basham, I actually convinced him to go down a couple years ago. And Basham, why don't you tell us a little bit about your hunt down there? What was your take on it?
Whew. I think my take was a little bit like your first one. So I got hooked up with Bryce, and Bryce asked me if I wanted to go down, and we headed down to Heath's house. And like Bryce indicated, I mean, the hospitality was just top notch. I don't think they knew it at the time, but we showed up to Heath's house, and man, they had a blueberry cobbler already made for me, and man, got to eat some of the best home cooking I've had in a long time.
I forgot about that blueberry cobbler.
Hey man, so I walk in the door and she goes, "Oh, I've got a blueberry cobbler made," and I said, "Man, this was just meant to be, because that's my favorite." I told Heath he was going to have to kick me out. I was going to live there forever. So We showed up
around here.
Yeah. We showed up to Heath's house, and like I said, guys, the hospitality was top notch. And then, like I said about bear hunting is just different. I mean, the very next morning, I think it was like 3:00 in the morning, the alarms went off, and here we go getting ready so that we can be at the little general store to get our breakfast in the morning and meet up and talk about bear hunting before we actually go bear hunting. Because bear hunting ain't no different than coon hunting. You got to tell a tall story before you ever go. Ain't that right, Heath?
Yeah, that's right.
So the mountains are no joke. We walked. I think we treed a couple bear, crossed a couple. Didn't really have a great week that week, if you remember correctly. I think we treed 2, both of them being sows, and we didn't end up taking any. And I think me and Bryce ended up leaving on Friday because, man, I was just spent. I didn't know how much more I could go through.
Let's just tell the truth how it is. You got your butt kicked by Greg on the mountain, and you were embarrassed, and you tucked tail and said, "Let's go to Indiana."
Yeah, that's kind of it. Other than I ended up getting home, and Saturday I toughed it out, and Sunday I was like, man, something's wrong. So I ended up actually going to the emergency room, and I had broke my foot.
Yeah.
Needless to say, don't go to Virginia in hip boots.
I tried to tell him before that, Heath. I tried to tell him.
Don't go to Virginia in hip boots and think you can go bear hunting.
I fuss at Bryce. Like, I fuss at him about his boots, and he's got a decent pair of boots, and I still fuss at him.
Yeah, I mean, I wore the same pair of boots for 3 years in a row, and they finally gave out on me. So this year, I was like, all right, I'm going to spend a little bit of money. I'm going to buy me a decent pair of boots. I'm going to break them in. I'm going to be ready to go. And that's what I did. I bought a nice set of boots, I thought. No, I got down there last week, and it didn't work still.
They weren't to Heath's standard.
They weren't. Nope. I had cold, wet feet like 3 out of the 5 days. Yeah, I guess you just have. Yeah, I know. I guess I'm just gonna have to break down and just buy a pair. But it's so hard when I only go down for 1 week out of the year to spend that kind of money on just a top quality boot. But I might just have to do that. Heath, have you looked on the Holler Commerce website and seen if they got those boots that you wear on there?
I have not yet. No.
I need to do that.
But I'm gonna take all the boots. Y'all watch after the first of the year on my stuff. I'm gonna take all 4 pair that I have, and I'm gonna kind of break them down and tell you what I like and what I don't like. For me, of course, I'm getting older, and wearing a duty belt and a vest for the last 20 years it's been rough on my back, and I hate to say that, but standing for 4 hours now likes to kill me. So my feet are very important. So good socks and good boots. And now that I've been wearing these, this is my 3rd year, and the boots that I'm wearing now, like 3 or 4 people in the groups, because I'm out walking them and I shouldn't be. Like, they're younger than I am. And they're like, your feet's never wet and you're never tired. And I'm like, oh, I'm tired, but my feet don't hurt because the boots are good.
Right.
So,
yeah, it's crucial. It really is. So we've tried to get Basham down there a couple times since then, and just can't make it work. I really want to get him a bear because, like Heath said earlier, part of the enjoyment going down there is seeing somebody take their first bear and be at that first tree. And I've been fortunate enough to be able to harvest a few bears while I went down there, and Heath and his crew have been very, very generous to me and let me harvest those bears, and they don't go to waste around here. I just got done eating a nice bear burger from this week, and it was delicious. Fantastic.
I think you still got some in your beard.
Oh, do I? Huh.
Yeah, we had bear tacos this evening, so
yeah,
we took a roast and put it in. Well, Rice, so I mean, like I said, I'm out of the coon hunting world. I'm not, like I said, it's I coon hunt just very little anymore. I don't even have nothing that'll tree coon, but I like to take my pups out and let them run at night. But so what was the dog wise? And I know you and I've talked about this a lot. Dog wise, your first impression from the very first time you were here until now. So it's you've been down here 5 times, literally. Out of 4 years, you've been 5 times.
Yep. the dogs really impress me, and I think the coolest thing, honestly, Heath, is being able to watch Spook grow.
Yeah.
Because when I came down there the first time, he was a young dog. Just over a year old or something like that. You just got him. I think it was his first season, maybe. And watching him from then until now, where he is your lead dog, like he's the man. When Spook is there.
Yeah, I came down there second year.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I came down there the second year because he was still a young pup whenever I came down there.
Yeah, and just watching him grow has been really, really neat, just to see him mature and turn into a bear dog. But I think what stands out to me the most is the grit and the heart that those dogs have. When they get on a track and they are face to face with the bear, they don't back down for the most part. Like they endure, they push to go through the terrain that those dogs have to go through to keep up with that bear. It blows my mind. Like this last week we were down there on the very first day where Hunter and Greg's dogs got up on that steep face with the rocks. I was like, man, how do they not break a leg going through this stuff? It's crazy. I don't know how they keep up. And I know they're slowed down by that, but they endure, they push, they continue to grind until they get there. And if there's a rough bear on the ground, they might have a cut or two in them that, hopefully not life-threatening, but they're going to be there until you pull them off. They don't stop. Mm-hmm. Like, that's something that I just don't think is in the coonhound world. I think that's very different.
It's the same dog. I mean, it's the same, if you go back in the bloodline, I mean, it's the same bloodlines. They've come out of coon stock. I mean, well, it depends on what breed. I mean, we kind of just say in general. That way we're not smashing everybody. But, in general, they've come out of coon stock. And, I don't know. It's expected. And, for me, and we may talk about this later, but for me, like we'll talk about Sassy here in a little bit, but I've went through 10, 12, 15 dogs here in the last two or 3 years. And I finally, I'm hunting, most of the pups I'm hunting are out of Spook. I've got four young dogs out of, when I say pups, but I got 2.5-year-olds and some 1.5-year-olds. No. Yeah, 1.5-year-olds. No, they're not 2. Yeah, they're not 2. So that's what I'm hunting other than, Spook, Cake, and Trip. But it's taken for me to suit me, the dogs to suit me and do what I expect. You got to go, and I'm sure, the coon world's the same, but you got to find those dogs that's got that stick. Some people call it grit. Like, yeah, grit, but I don't need my dogs jumping on one's back and holding it down. Like, I don't want that. I don't need that, even though we seen that last week. I'd prefer them to not do that. So, but it takes going through a lot of dogs to find that fit. And each individual's different, because what I like, you don't like. What you like, Steve don't like. So,
the Semper Doggin Podcast is proudly presented to you by Froggy Bottom Outdoors. Froggy Bottom Outdoors is the newest outdoor and hunting supply, habitat management, and livestock feed provider in the Midwest. With a wide variety of products, a unique business model, and a dedicated team of individuals who are eager to provide their customers with an unparalleled shopping experience, you will not have to search any further than Froggy Bottom Outdoors. With brands such as Garmin, Yoder Nylon, Banks Hunting Blinds, Razor Hunting Gear, Purina Mills, Kalmbach Feeds, Anuksha, Real World Products, and many more, Froggy Bottom Outdoors has you covered from the farm to the woods. Visit FroggyBottomOutdoors.com today and follow them on Facebook to see how they can help you. Not finding what you're looking for online? No problem. Feel free to give the store a call at 765-330-2098. The team at Froggy Bottom Outdoors is excited to get to know you and would be glad to answer any questions you may have. Right. One thing, like a dog that stands out in particular when it comes to that for me, and I think about just the heart, is Trip. And he seems to find himself in the wrong end of the situation most times, and he ends up getting wrecked. And I don't know if that's just coincidence, if he's putting himself in those situations. I'm not sure how that happens, but he's had a busted up shoulder blade. He's been bit right through the shoulder, the chest area, and he keeps coming back. He heals up, and he's ready to go, and he keeps coming back. Like that to me, that's heart. That's what he loves to do. It's his passion, and you can see that in him.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's got a little bit too much grit for me. Like, he needs to tone it down about a notch and a half, and we'll be in good shape, because I don't like having to pay vet bills. And I mean, it's the second week of season, and I've had to lay him up twice already, and just for a couple of days, just to get everything back and give him some antibiotics and make sure the swelling and stuff don't get any worse. But yeah, I mean, he gets a little too tight. Like, he's got a little too much for me.
Yeah, and I can see that.
I think what we look for in dogs, though, is you'll find one that it's got something you like, and then another one won't have something you like. And like you kind of touched on, Heath, I think every dog's different. I think how we train each dog has to be different too. People think there's one set of, Heath has one set of training standards, and that's not the case. Every single dog that he has requires something different, has something different, and that's why you have so many, is because each dog carries its own personality, its own traits, and it's just something a little bit different. But finding that one dog, that fits into what you want to accomplish, that you go through a lot of dogs to try to find that.
Mm-hmm. And Bryce, back to Spook. I loaded him up today, and he got up on the tailgate, and I took his collar off of him, and I looked at him, and I'm like, man, when you're gone, I am going to miss you. Like I already, and I mean, he's not 5 yet. He'll be 5 here shortly. And I mean, I've had a blast with him, and I mean, he's so consistent, and he's like, you just know, like, there's really no doubting. Just there it is. There he is. You better get with him or get out. You're not going to get in it.
No. And it's like I said, going back to the first time I went down there was a time during that hunt where the pack of dogs pulled up treed, and we busted in there. I felt like I was flying down this little mountain, and, Fielder hiked in there, and everybody was there, and we get in there, and it's a big old pine tree, and we're looking around, and like, man, like, these dogs pulled up slick. And in my mind, I was like, first off, how is that possible? Like, the bear is so big, and I thought they were looking at it. I'm like, how did this happen? I had a hard time fathoming that. But you and I have talked about how that happens since then, and that's a whole different podcast. But the point I'm getting at with Spook is that we looked down, and he wasn't there. And you looked on your Garmin, and he was taken off up the side of the mountain, across the road. And he pulled that bear out by himself. When everybody else pulled up slick, he was gone. And he was like, nope, this isn't right. He went in there, pushed the bear across the road, and we were able to pack onto him again and get back on that bear. And I think that's part of like the dependability that that was the very first year that has only grown since now, whenever I've hunted with him.
Well, but there's two things. And Spook was young. He was just, he was just over a year old. Yeah, he was just over a year old when that happened. And a couple things, Spook is like, when he gets in a track, he don't care. He's got enough confidence. He don't care what anybody else is doing. So kind of like the dogs, what y'all like. He don't care. Like, if he's in a track, then, and I mean, I can tell you a story from this year. He gone. I toned Kate off of that. Kate was with Spook. And I toned her that day. And, of course, she's just a month older than him. And I kicked myself in the butt, because maybe if I had both of them down, on it when they crossed right there, they could have got it stopped quicker. But I toned her. That was my fault. But having a dog that doesn't that don't care what everybody else is doing, and sometimes that's a blessing, and sometimes it's a curse. So, you just kind of take the good with the bad. And I'll tell you a little short clip from this training season. We were rigging out the road, and they struck. And let's see, where was you in there? No, we didn't go there. And this is something we can talk about too, because I know it interested you. We were rigging out the road. The dog struck. I turned them off the truck. Well, they had a hard time finding it. I turned Spook and Hart down, and they made a loop, and Spook went back up above the road and got up in there. Well, Hart had got above him. Well, she struck, and she started going up the mountain. And this is probably 200 or 300 yards from the truck. Well, about that time, Glenny's dogs come across the top of the mountain right into their face. So my dogs were going up, and his were coming down. Well, Hart peeled off and got right with his dogs and come down back in front of where I was at, right in front of the truck. Well, Spook didn't. And literally, when he topped out, Greg hollered and said, Spook just crossed the road right in front of him. He's on the back track. And I'm like, okay. And Glenny's like, it ain't right. He's going backwards. And I'm like, okay, no big deal. So long story short, I packed up Hart and the other dogs, and they got down to the hard top, and I'm not sure what happened, but they didn't have no bear. So Greg went back up to the top of the mountain where Spook crossed. Of course, his dog's open, and he's still in the mind. We're all in the mindset that, well, when he topped up, he said, hey, you may want to come up here. I said, why is that? And he said, Spook's treed. I said, okay, I'll go get him. I don't threat that stuff. It just so happened that they crossed, but they're not going to pull him. They're not going to pull him. And he was treed right in there where you just talking about earlier, underneath a cliff by himself. Had been in there over an hour, a good hour. And it took me and Maddie 30 or 40 minutes because we had to go out the top of the mountain, scave around a bunch of cliffs to get down to him and drop down in him. So he's probably in there 2 hours total, sitting in there treed by himself and had the bear. And but that's a dog that's track minded enough that if he's in it, he don't care if you throw dynamite down beside him, he's gonna stay with it.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting, and that is cool to see. And when Jeff Shetler was down there, we were hunting with him. Spook popped one up on his own. Now he didn't run much of a track. I think he jumped it right out of his bed, but we were just walking and he was quiet, and all of a sudden he come treed, and I was like, hold up a second, this dog's treeing.
He treed a layup, Bryce.
I'm telling you.
A layup bear.
Yep. He had to pop it up to get it treed, but he treed a layup.
Yeah, but it was so cool to watch. So it's just been great, seeing him just mature and not just him, but your pack as well. Seeing Kate grow right there with him, and Hart and Houdini and Trip, and we talked, this week maybe Houdini didn't have his best week whenever I was there, and last year he was really clicking. So it's interesting to see, where these dogs go and how they progress or digress in a sense, and what makes them click, and try and figure it out. And I think that's what I enjoy probably most, is just riding along with you in the truck for the week and listening to you, and just the way that you think about your dogs and your pack, and you're always nitpicking them and trying to figure out why this is happening, and if this happens, then this happens, and I'm not going to put this dog with this because of this, and then helping out the group. When other people have questions, they come to you and they ask questions, and you try to give them advice and help them the best that you can, and just move everybody for one common goal, which is to tree bear in the state of Virginia. And it's just really, really neat. And I really have appreciated that for a long time. So you want to recap this week, how we had going on this last week?
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah.
It got wild. Not just in the sense of craziness at the tree, which we're going to get into, but when I first got down there, what did you tell me the first morning?
I was worried. The food was scattered, Training season. I have to go back and kind of eat my own words. We had a very productive training season. And I told you, I hunted my young dogs a lot without Spook. Kate had pups on her, so I didn't hunt her at all. So I was taking Spook one day, I was taking Maggie one day, and then I'd just take the young dogs. And when I say young dogs, anything under, 2.5 and under is my young dogs. And I caught some bear with them, and I didn't catch some bear with them. And sometimes I don't even know what they were doing, but they were running something. So I was a little worried. I was like, we may have some trouble finding bear. That's what I said is don't be disappointed, because this year may be tough.
Yeah. And, we got up to the mountain and we're sitting there talking and getting things ready. Like Basham had said, just talking about bear hunting before we went bear hunting with the guys, and light was coming up over the mountain. It was time to go. And you and I took off right down the AT, and Spook started making some loops in there that we weren't quite sure if he was right or not. And he wasn't saying much on them, but he kept making the same loop. Knowing what you know now after the fact, which, jumping ahead here, Hot Rod's dogs got a bear going. They were running it, and they ran really, really close to where Spook kept making a loop at. Do you think he was winding that off the side of that mountain? What do you think happened there?
Yeah, I do. And I think when I kept hollering and getting him to come back, I think I kept turning him. I think he was winning it, was trying to go look for it. And I just kept hollering. He would get that 400 yards and I'd holler and he'd come back, and we walk out the mountain. He'd try to go right back down there. I absolutely believe that he winded that and was just trying to go find it.
Yeah, and that's something that I thought was interesting was, how he will go find a track. It might not be where he opens at, but he's going to go find it. And we saw that later in the week whenever he rigged. He opened here and he went and found the track a few hundred yards away, which I thought was neat. But, they got on there. We got Spook in there, got Kate in there, and they pushed that track, and they come treed in there, and they did a really nice job first thing in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
What were your thoughts on that bear when you walked in there? That was opening day of season. You thought you were going to have a tough season. Did that give you any ease? Did that make you feel like, okay, we're good to go. This might not be so bad after all, or were you still just like, we might have got lucky there?
I've hunted that area my whole life, and I can usually catch a bear in that area. So no, at that point, I'm still not convinced. But by the end of the day, that day, I was like, it's going to be all right.
Yeah, so we're at the base of this tree. We've got a nice bear in the air. We're all looking at it, just kind of admiring it. It's just hanging out, and, we're just admiring this bear. And Forrest comes on the radio and says, hey, I got one treed, and I got another dog treed a couple hundred yards away. And lo and behold, he had 2 bears. Or he had 3 bears. He had 2 bears in one tree, and the dog split off and treated another one. So at that point, we're up to 4 bears, and we hadn't been hunting for a couple hours.
Yeah. He treated a sow and a cub. One cub split, and then the sow and the other cub she had the cub above her. So he had 2 trees within 150 yards with 3 bear in them.
So that was good, And we are like, all right, we're gonna pull out the other trail and kind of go down to the parking lot. Just the way that the dogs went, it was the easiest route out of the mountains for us. And on the way down, Greg and Hunter call and say they've got one running. And lo and behold, we go down there and they pull up treed. Can you explain where these dogs were treed to the listeners? Can you explain? I don't think I can do it justice.
Yeah. They're on the north side, or they're on the, it's the north side of the mountain. It's in a big valley, and it's literally straight. And when I say straight up and down, go back and watch Bryce's videos. Like, I'm literally climbing at like steps and reaching down and grabbing the ground in front of me, coming up it. I killed a bear last year right above where we were at in the cliffs. That's where that bear went in that cliff, in the hole on the outside of that cliff, and about knocked us all off of it. But yeah, it's steep. They were 160 yards, 161 yards exactly.
Yep.
From where we were standing at the bottom of the valley to where they were treed. So I take my jacket off. I take everything off of me. I grab my radio. I didn't even have a radio. I
You didn't
just
have
took my
nothing.
Garmin. Yeah. And we shuffled down. We crossed the creek and straight up. And it took us what?
It took us
a good 30, 40 minutes.
It took us, I didn't look when we got there. I know it took us an hour and 7 minutes to make the 161-yard trip up, tie the dogs up, take a couple pictures, and come back down.
Yeah, 161 yards.
Yeah.
When I checked my thing, my app that evening, it said we climbed 52 flights of stairs. I don't know how far up and down that is, but that's what we did.
It was a lot. And like Heath mentioned, I did a reel on that, and you guys can find that over at the Semper Doggin Facebook page, Semper Doggin Podcast Facebook page. There's pictures on there. The videos are over there. You guys can go over there and check them out, and you'll see what I'm talking about. I took a picture of me looking down at Heath and Wesley coming up, and it is straight up. A couple times when I was slipping, I was like, well, here we go. I'm going to end up like Hank Jr. I'm just going to fall off the side of the mountain and just keep on rolling. Because it was so steep. But that put 5 bears in one day, opening day.
Yep.
What was your morale after that?
We didn't take any of them.
Nope, we didn't take a single one of them.
And the first bear we treed was a nice bear. It's probably been the biggest bear we've treed yet, honestly. Yeah, I mean, I thought, okay, I was like, sow and cubs, that's good. The other bear that we just climbed up and seen, that was a sow. And we, after some investigation and some research on the first one, we realized that one was a boar. And the reason we weren't really gung-ho on it is because we thought it was a sow. But yeah, I was like, okay, we got 5 bear. There, it'll be fine. That's what I thought. By the end of the day, and I think I even told you that, I said, we'll be all right.
Yep. We all know that canines can take us to some wild places, and some of those are only accessible by an off-road vehicle. No matter how hard you try to maintain your ride, something is bound to break on one of your adventures. When you find yourself looking for replacement parts, or maybe even a few upgraded parts to further try and prevent a breakdown, look no further than Never Satisfied Off-Road. Joey Goforth is the proud new owner of Never Satisfied Off-Road and is ready to serve you. Performance accessories such as lift kits, portals, tires, and more can all be found at Never Satisfied Off-Road. Located in Covington, Tennessee, the team at Never Satisfied Off-Road is ready to ship parts and accessories for your ride anywhere in the country. As their new website is currently being built, be sure to follow them on Facebook at Never Satisfied Off-Road 23 to keep up to date on the hottest items and sales. Give them a call at 731-693-9921 to place your order and get your ride ready to follow your canine wherever they may take you. Are you ready for the best part though? Mention that you heard this ad on the Semper Doggin podcast and you will receive a Semper Doggin approved listener discount.
So, obviously we all have our lulls, and, you talked about the problems that you've had, some of the problems you've had this training season, stuff like that. Just kind of go over your thoughts and your feelings after a successful day like that, because I know in the coon hunting world, you have those nights where it's like nothing can go right, and then all of a sudden you have a real good night, and it brings your faith, of your dogs and your training regiment, and you're getting up every morning at 4 a.m. and doing it all over again, and how it reignites, that feeling of success, being able to train your dogs and be able to get the end product.
I mean, that's, I don't know. I mean, my expectations are high. I spend a lot of time with my dogs. I spend a lot of time traveling, training. So I guess in part of me, it's expected. It does get tough towards the end of the season. Like, your body gets worn out just like what you're saying, getting up every morning at 4 and, hitting the woods, and you don't know what time you're getting home. I mean, you don't. I mean, you get home at dark, you can get home at lunchtime. You don't know. But after a successful hunt, I kind of take inventory on what the dogs did, who did what, where are some deficiencies at, what are some stuff that I need to work on. That's kind of how I look at it. And I know, I'll be the first to tell you, you take 2 or 3 dogs out of my pack, I can still catch bear. And we'll talk about the last day Bryce was here. I can still catch some bear, but it won't be to the level that I do right now. So I'm trying to, I guess, Steve, what I'm trying to do right now is get something to replace.
Get that next stock.
Yep.
That next generation going around. Yep.
Yeah.
And I'll be the first to say it, and I hope I'm not jinxing it, but I think Heath has a prospect that might be the up-and-comer, because on Tuesday, this little gyp showed me something that I was very, very impressed with. Heath, you want to go into that one?
Yeah. We fiddled around, and I don't know. It's never a day wasted when you're hunting. I don't care. And I know I say that sometimes, like, I just drove around all day. Man, you get to be out with your dogs and doing what you love to do. But so we had drove around quite a bit that morning, and we had went up one of the roads that we hunt, and one of the other guys had walked down into some country that's pretty good. It's pretty good. And he got down in there pretty deep, and he said that the dogs were hitting and pecking and carrying on. So we get up close as we can get to them, and they're still a good piece from us. And they come on down the holler, and we can hear them. Well, I've got a 10-month-old pup that I call Sass, and I told Bryce, I said, you watch this. Them dogs barked in there, and I cut her loose, and she went into them like she shot out of a rocket. And I said, I hope he don't get mad, because she's going to come out of there something in a minute.
Yeah, he said, I don't know what she's going to run, but she's going to be running something.
She can't not run something. I mean, she just can't. And lo and behold, she went in there, and I heard her opening. And the dogs had made a lose right there and was making a loop. And she come out of that loop, and it was on like Donkey Kong. And one of his older dogs went with her, and we turned around and started running parallel with her just to kind of see. And we got pretty close to him. And I told Bryce, I'm like, gosh, man, I can't pack to a 10-month-old. I was like, we got to see what she's doing. We've got to see what she's doing. And so she come on down the valley, and of course the other dog was with her, and the rest of the dogs started filtering. They started coming, and we pull up. I mean, we got really close to them, like almost to where they was going to cross in front of us, and we stopped. And about that time, man, I said they're going to tree, and they fell treed right there. The back dogs come in and got hooked up. And of course, this is a pup that's not heavy tree minded, more track minded. And I told Bryce, we've got to get in there and catch her, because she's going to leave. And what she does and what she's done, and I got to back up, because I don't like to hunt dogs under a year old on bear, because one bad bear and they're done. And people say, well, if they're going to make it, they're going to make it. Yeah, absolutely. That's true. If they've got it, they've got it. But we're hunting a lot of us are hunting dogs that are in that in-between stage. You can make them or break them, and I'm not trying to break them. So I'm not a big proponent of doing this, but she's a special dog. Like, she's a special dog. And anyway, we jump out of the truck and we run in there, and she got away from me. And I'm like, crap. So I couldn't catch her. Anyway, we get in there, and they've got a, 60, 80 pound bear treat. And I sit and wait on her. Well, the guy come out of the, and somebody picked him up on the road, and she backtracked all the way back to where she started at. And he ended up catching her and bringing her back in there to me. And I think Bryce even posted a picture of me holding her up in the air. I was just kind of being silly. I see people doing that all the time.
It was one of my favorite pictures of the whole week.
Yeah, so I just picked her up. I mean, I was being goofy. I picked her up and was kind of showing her the bear, and he snapped a photo there. And anyway, that was Tuesday. That's how it went.
That was that. And Wednesday, we didn't do a whole lot. We hunted another mountain. We did run a bear. We did not catch the bear. Some issues with traffic, and we did see it. Yep. We had some issues with the bear crossing the road and traffic, kind of just messing everything up, and it was a cluster. So we didn't catch that bear, but was not for lack of effort. Thursday is when things got a little hectic and out of control. For me, it was out of control, and maybe it's because I'm not used to that, and my mind was not prepared for what was about to happen, but the situation was interesting. So Heath and I are rigging up the same road that he just talked about. We were on Tuesday, where Sass ran that bear, and we had Spook, Kate, and who else was up top? Rogue.
I think no, yeah, it was. We had Rogue up there.
Yeah. And
yeah,
the dogs struck, but it was weak. It wasn't a great strike off the box. And Heath said, well, we'll see what happens here, see what we can do. So turned the dogs down, and Kate kind of went down below us. Spook went up above us, and they kind of met in the middle at the road on a bear track. They were running. They got the bear jumped, and they were running. So we get down in there, and they didn't go far at all. It didn't take long, and they had it treed. So Heath goes in, and he's in front of me. I had to get some stuff ready. I wasn't prepared for them to get treed like that quick. And he's like, look, I'm going in. I'm going to get them tied up. I'll meet you in there. Copy that. So I go in there, and I get right to where the dogs are at, and I'm there just long enough to look up and see the bear hanging on the side of the tree. And I was like, oh, that's a good bear. And as soon as I looked up and saw the bear came right back down. And Heath was trying to tie dogs up, and I think what'd you have? A couple of them tied up, but not all of them tied up.
Mm-hmm.
And the bear come down, ran about 30, 40 yards, and went right back up. Well, we had Sass on that bear at that tree, and she saw that bear come down, run, and go right back up in front of her. And I believe that sparked that dog. I think that is where the switch was starting to flip, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but just seeing her actions that day and then the following day, I think that right there is what did it for that dog. Do you feel the same way?
Oh yeah, I mean, absolutely. Yeah, she's been making races since she was 6 months. The first time I took her, and we'll get into this to another podcast. She was she's been one of the dogs that I've done my drag technique with, my track laying. And she's ran tracks. Like, she's made some long races during training season. And I've only hunted her a handful of times. But she's made every race that I put her in. Every race that I put her in, she's made it. And, like, getting her to stay at the tree has been the problem. So that was a relatively short race, probably under a mile. And they treat it, and what was it, 200 yards, 300 yards from the road? Yeah,
2 1/4, something like that.
Yeah, and so we was able, that's why I left Bryce. I'm like, I'm going, I'm getting her tied up. So I grabbed leads and I go, and anyway, yeah, she's seen it come out, and like, she was on it when they retreat it. Of course, she was in there barking, and like, I grab her immediately and tie her up. And there you go. You can take it from there. So,
like I said, I'm getting in there just as the bear comes out. I haven't had a chance to catch my breath yet, fighting through this laurels. It wasn't a tough walk by any means, but the laurels down there are so thick. And the bear goes down, goes back up the next tree, and we get in there, and Heath's like, all right, start tying dogs up. I'm like, okay. So I got a couple of them tied up. Or he started tying up Spook and Kate, and I'm recording this on my phone. I'm taking a video of this because for whatever reason, we didn't plan on killing this bear. There was a couple kids that were in the group, and this was just going to be another deal where we were just going to tree it. If it was a nice bear, if somebody wanted to harvest it, they could come in and do it. That's fine. Heath and I had no intentions on harvesting this bear. So we didn't even take a rifle to the tree. All I had on me was a pistol, and it was Heath's pistol, and so it's not something that I'm used to carrying. I didn't even think about having it on me. I'm used to being the camera guy and trying to get good pictures and good videos of the trip down to Virginia every year. And so I'm sitting there at the base of the tree, and Heath's tying dogs up, and the bear's kind of sitting there halfway comfortable, I thought. I was wrong. And I'm recording. All of a sudden, he starts coming down, and I'm like, oh man, in my head, I'm like, this is going to be awesome footage. Like, I honestly thought Heath had more dogs tied up than he did. And so I wasn't worried about that. I wasn't thinking about it. He might have only had one or two. And the bear comes out, and I'm like, all right, the bear's getting ready to come out. He's going to take off. I'm going to get great footage. And so the bear comes out, and next thing I know, the bear's on top of dogs. Dogs are on top of the bear, and it's on. And I'm recording it. I'm just like, I'm stuck. I don't know what to do. And you hear Heath in the background. He's like, kill it. Help. Kill it.
Yeah, I'm like, because guys, I hate carrying a gun. I hate it. I don't like carrying a gun. And out of all the days that I hunt, I'll have one on me maybe 4 or 5 times because I just don't. So Bryce had it. Again, we had no intentions of really killing it. We just took it just in case. Well, just in case happened. And I'm sitting there watching, and Bryce is filming, and I'm watching, and I start screaming, shoot it, Bryce. And then he looks at me like, what do you want me to do? And I'm like, shoot it. And then he realizes he's got the gun. He throws his camera up in the air, and then he pulls a Wesley and starts shooting every bullet that I've got.
Now, let's go back here. Yes, I did go through all 5 rounds that we had, but I was number one. Number one, I was not prepared for the situation that was getting ready to happen. I thought the dogs were going to be tied up. Bear comes out, they run, whatever. Scratch that. Wrong. Number 2, once I realized that, oh yeah, I've got the gun this time, then I'm like, oh no, I don't want to have to shoot a dog or accidentally shoot a dog trying to get the bear off of him. Because the other previous bears that I had harvested had been in a tree where they should be. I did not want to hurt one of Heath's dogs. And so yes, I took a couple shots, got a couple rounds in him on the ground, and he ended up going up the tree and was able to, make a clean harvest on him. But goodness gracious, it went 0 to 100 right now, and I will laugh about it for as long as I can remember and tell this story that yes, I might have looked like an idiot, but I wish I could have seen it through Heath's eyes because he was sitting there screaming at me, and I looked back at him like, what do you want me to do? We didn't bring a gun in here. And he's like, you've got the gun.
Then I was yelling, don't shoot the dogs. Like, I was telling him to shoot it, but don't shoot my dogs, because it was on like Donkey Kong. When that thing put his butt 4 foot off the ground, he had the dogs were hanging off of him. And
yeah.
I don't like it. My dog could just sit back and bark, and I will be completely happy.
Oh my gosh. Like I said, I wasn't ready for it, but it happened. We got it taken care of. We got to
see that video, Bryce.
I've got a video, and I'm probably not going to post that all over social media.
No, we're not.
It's not something that we need to be sharing. We talk about that a lot as far as, there's things that happen in the woods and hunters. I think hunters in general, we've done a good job over the last couple of years policing ourselves with what we post on social media and, having a good image. Sometimes things get Western and you have to take care of things, but the whole world doesn't need to be seen that and shown that. So, this is just one of those times where I'm going to police myself and I'm not going to be sharing that to the world. Semper Doggin and Hometown Hero Outdoors are proud to partner together to bring you the Hometown Hero Outdoors Hero of the Week. This week's hero is Gatlin Sunday. Gatlin is a firefighter and first responder for the Markle Fire Rescue in Markle, Indiana. Although Gatlin has not participated in a Hometown Hero Outdoors event, he says that he appreciates the effort that Hometown Hero Outdoors puts into bringing veterans and first responders together, and he is glad that there are organizations who support members of the first responder community. Gavin, from Semper Doggin and Hometown Hero Outdoors, we would like to say thank you for serving and protecting your community. Listeners, remember, if you have a hero of your own that you would like to recognize, please send their name and a brief description to semperdoggin@gmail.com, and we will be glad to recognize them. If you would like more information on Hometown Hero Outdoors, be sure to visit them at hometownherooutdoors.org or follow them on Facebook. But, I just want y'all to put this picture in your head. Bear comes down out of the tree. Dogs are going crazy. Heath's yelling at me. I'm looking at him like he's crazy. He's looking at me like I'm crazy. Bang, bang. It's taken care of. And then all of a sudden it's like, what just happened? It took me a couple minutes to process everything that just went down right there.
And I'm so thankful that I had Kate and Spook tied up, and it was just the young dogs. Trip just turned 30. But I was like, gosh, man, if I had them other two in there, it would have been even worse. Like, Kate always gets the wrong end of the like she gets a little bit too much hind end about herself. So I'm glad they were tied because 4 was a plenty.
Yeah, it was a plenty to try and navigate and not hit a dog. But so after that deal, we continued hunting that day, and they got another bear jumped, ran it, and there was a mishap there. There was some miscommunication between the group on as far as what needed to happen, and we ended up not getting that bear treed. But we did run another bear. So Friday, we go back out, and this is my last day down there. I had to leave Saturday morning first thing. So Friday was my last day to hunt, and we didn't have a lot going on that morning. Kind of a slow deal. We were back in the same spot. Didn't rig anything. Nothing great had happened. And one of the guys in the group said that he thought his dog might have had one running. She was pushing off by herself. Nobody could really hear her. So Heath and I, being in the truck, we're like, well, we'll ease over that way. And, we'll see if she needs help. We can pack her. If not, if she's just running, well, we'll pick her up. Either way, we'll be there to help. Just kind of trying to be team players that day. And we're going up the side of this mountain, and we don't have any dogs on top of the box. And they're all in, and Heath, do what?
We only have our young dogs.
Yes. Oh, that's right. Because, so Thursday, Trip got a little tore up. Spook hurt his ankle. I don't know if he twisted it.
On his foot.
Okay, Heath stepped on it.
Yeah.
I thought he might have twisted it in the rocks or something. Kate was feeling a little sore, so we didn't have anything but young dogs with us.
Took the B team. That's what I call them, the B team.
He did. He said, I got the B team with me. He said, I'm not going to say they won't tree a bear. He's like, but I'm not packing, my starting 5 or starting 6, whatever it is. So we're going up the mountain, and Heath's box is set up where he can kind of shut the vents and keep everybody quiet if he needs to. And that's where they were at. They were down in the box being quiet. And the box just erupts. And we're like, that's interesting. But the dog that we were following kept kind of going up the mountain. So he's like, all right, we're going to go up the mountain. We're going to check this out, see what happens. And if nothing happens, we'll come back down. Well, nothing really happened. We come back down the mountain. We get to the same spot where the box erupted the first time, and wham, there it went again.
But what we did is I put the dogs up on top.
Correct.
Yeah, I took them out of the box. And I only had, and it's funny because I only had the slide open on my driver's side. So the Houdini and Hart were over there, which is my 2.5-year-olds. They were over there, and they're the ones that opened, were screaming. So when we got up top and the dog got called or come back, whatever happened, I said, I'm going to put them up. And I had Rogue.
Yep.
I put them 3 up, and we drove back off the mountain, and I mean, as soon as we got in that little curve, I mean, they opened, and we got out, and we put them three down. They took off over the bank, and then I put the other two in with them, which was Sassy and Axe. So that was the last two dogs turned loose too, and they went up the holler, kind of the same direction the other dog had went, and I'm not sure. I'm still not sure what happened there. I don't know if she had run a bear out and just got mixed up or something. I'm not sure what happened, but I feel sure that he either pushed the bear out or the dog pushed the bear out. I'm not sure what, but that's exactly what happened. But anyway, they went up the holler. I'll let you tell the rest of it, Bryce. I turned them off the truck and they went down and up the holler, kind of the same way the other dog did.
Yeah, so they go down in there and they all bunch up, group together. They're running. They sound good doing it. Of course, it just sounds so beautiful down there in the mountains. The way that those dogs, it carries in the mountains. It's kind of different than the flatlands up here in Indiana, but they're sounding good doing it. And all of a sudden, you see Axe and Sassy kind of split off from the rest of them. And next thing you know, here they come across the road. They're leading the race. And Sassy is in front. This is the 10-month-old pup that we told you guys about on Tuesday that would run a track, run a race, but wouldn't tree. And she's leading this race, and Axe isn't far behind her. And next thing you know, here come the other dogs, and they get it straightened out. So those two dogs went down in there, realized in my head, and like I said, I could be wrong, but this is just what I think happened there. They got in there, realized they were on the back track. They got it sorted out. We're like, all right, guys, this is the way we need to go. And they come back across the road and start going up the mountain and bring the rest of the dogs with them. And they're going, and they're going, and they're going. And all I can hear is people on the radio like, they're going to the north. They're going to the north. And I'm like, this can't be good when everybody's saying that they're going to the north. Like, they're making a big deal about this for a reason. Can't be good. and it looked like they kind of popped up treed once they got to the top. And Rogue had kind of split off, and he wasn't really with everybody. He was doing his own thing. I'm not sure if he got thrown out of the race. I'm not sure what happened, but he ended up getting down in there. And Heath's like, well, we've only got one option here. He said, we've got to go to the very top of this mountain. He said, we're going to have to go down this road. It's a terrible road. He's like, and we're just going to have to go try to get as close to him as we can. So about the time we get to the top of the mountain, they're popping up treed. And we, like I said, we're just going down this road. It's crazy rough, mud holes, ruts, you name it, it's there. And Heath's truck took an absolute beating going to these dogs, bouncing it off the daggone oil pan. I mean, I thought the rear bumper, even though it's a brand new bumper, I thought it was going to get drug off. It was bad. It was rough.
Like a rock.
Like a rock, driving. He says. That old rusty Chevy going down through there. But, hey, it got us there. So, I'm looking on the Garmin. We get as close as we can, and it shows like 250 yards, I think, is what it showed.
205. It was 205.
There we go. I had my numbers mixed up there.
Yep.
And in my head, me being a flatlander from Indiana, I'm like, 200 yards, no biggie. This will be easy peasy. It was not. We get to the top of this mountain, and I look down, and at that point I realized why everybody was making a big deal about these dogs going off the face of the north face of the mountain. We start going down there, and I got my daggone foot caught between two rocks and twisted my knee going down, and it hurt. It hurt bad. And I finally got down there, and Heath's a little bit ways in front of me, and he kind of signals up the mountain, thumbs up. He's like, they got it. Get down there where I can see it. And sure enough, there's the bear. And who else is down there, Heath? Who else is down there at the base of the tree just treeing her little butt off?
Sassy. Yep.
Little Sass. Was. So if you've been following along, Tuesday, the dog wouldn't tree. I don't know if we're going to accredit it to Heath, being goofy, quote unquote, and showing her the bear, but it was a good picture, good photo opportunity. So that happened on Tuesday. Wednesday, she had the day off. Thursday, she makes a race. The bear comes out right in front of her, goes right back up in front of her. Friday, she smokes this track leads the race, and she is sitting there hammering when we get down in there. And to me, that might have been the coolest part of the whole trip, was watching the dogs switch flip. Like, it happened right in front of us. We saw every bit of it. That was awesome to me.
Yeah, I'm tickled. Like, because the bloodline that she's out of, like Spook and Kate didn't, I mean, they were about a year and a half before they started treeing. Now, Kate would do the same thing. She'd run into a tree, make a circle or two, and backtrack. Spook would go in, and he would stay. He wouldn't do nothing. He'd stay. And Rogue would do the same thing. Rogue would make every race, but he wouldn't tree. And it wasn't until that first bear backed out, and he seen it, and it kind of like, oh, okay, it's above my head now. So I wasn't upset about her not treeing. Like, that, it didn't cross. I mean, it wasn't even a thought in my mind. I'm like, you know what? It'll come with time. It'll come with time. No worries. But yeah, like, she progressed really fast from Tuesday to Friday. And what Bryce may have not like been a little detailed on Friday, when her and Axe took that bear up over the top, they were popping up treed. And the other dogs were probably, I don't know, 300 yards behind them, which were my more solid dogs. So I told Bryce when we went up and was going out the mountain, I'm like, well, before the other dogs got there, I said, I don't want to jinx it. I know that she's treed. I see that she's treeing, but I don't want to jinx it. When we get there and I put my hands on her, I'll be happy. And sure enough, like I said, we slide down off the north of the mountain, and like, she's sitting down there just clicking along. So I had 2 1/2-year-olds, a 10-month-old, and my 2.5-year-olds, which to me, I mean, you coon hunters are a little. And Bryce talked about this too. You know, if I had a 2.5-year-old coon dog and he wasn't doing something, like, he wouldn't be staying here. But for bear hunting, it's a little different. The environment's different. The challenges are different. The temperament, the courage has got to be a little bit different. So my 2.5-year-old dogs are good. I mean, they're good dogs, but they're not finished in my book. Until they're about 4, they're not finished dogs. Where you guys probably think, a 2-year-old dog should be a finished. Like, this is my finished product. But we're a little slower on that with the bear. But yeah, my 2.5-year-olds, I mean, they're coming along. But like, and something else you left out too. What day was it that we put pack Spook to those dogs, and he went up about 200 yards, turned and come right back and told on them?
That was that would have been Thursday. After we harvested my bear and we were trying to help everybody out, Garrett's dog had come down the mountain, and we went down there and, packed his dogs, trying to see what was going on, because the other race had kind of gotten blown up. So that was Thursday, because that's whenever you stepped on his foot, and we didn't hunt him Friday. Yeah.
So, and that's what I'm saying. Spook's getting ready to be 5, and for a pressure broke dog, I mean, I don't know how you guys feel about it, but when you can turn your dog into 4 or 5 dogs running junk, and he'll go in and check them and come back, like, you can't do any better than that. You can't. So, and that's where Spook's at with I'm at with him, and that's one of the things Bryce is talking about, seeing him develop and seeing him, come along and be the dog that he is now. I'm blessed to have him, and golly geez, I'm gonna miss him when he's gone too. Like, I know he's not even close to it, I hope, but I'm dreading it already.
Yeah, it's been really cool deal to see him grow. But guys, that was kind of a recap of our week. I think we ended up treeing. I think we treed 9 bears and ran 11 in the 5 days that I hunted down there. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, we didn't. When you left Friday, you left Friday?
No, Saturday.
Yeah, it rained on a Saturday. We didn't do nothing. Yesterday, we had another rodeo.
I saw some footage of that. Look, a bear charging somebody.
he was more interested in us than he was the dogs. And we got several dogs cut up. But I'm gonna tell you, we found an old frozen track in the snow, and we put 3 dogs down. West put Jake down, Forrest put Boone down, I put Spook down. And man, it took him a long time to figure that out. I mean, they got into some feeding areas, made a bunch of circles, and then, it would walk down a ridge, and then they'd make some more circles, and then they switch, and really good dog work. And they ended up bringing it back up the mountain and got it jumped. And just so happens they jumped it like just a little bit below 400 yards below where I was at, and I heard Spook. And I was like, he's right with it. He's right with it. So I grabbed Kate and Trip, put them into him. Forrest put JJ and something else in. Wesley had got some dogs, and Hot Rod got some dogs in, and they literally walked that thing for a while, got in, and when you get close to him, man, he just turned. Like, he didn't care about the dogs. He'd come through them to get at you. Yeah, that's how bad it was.
I saw one video, and that sucker come out front paws in the air, like meant business.
Yeah, he jumped a log. Like, he come over a log when that happened. That's what he was doing. Yeah. So anyway, we was able to take him, and he was a nice boar bear. Nice boar bear. That's good. Yeah, so that was. And today, Garrett treed one today over in the south. It was a sow. Or no, he treed one over in the north, and it was a sow bear. So yeah, we've been pretty lucky.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So I came home and processed the meat that I brought home with me off the bear that I harvested, and when I've already went over to talk to the taxidermist, I am going to get that bear mounted. I don't think I'm going to do a rug like I talked about. I think I'm going to end up doing a shoulder mount on a pedestal.
The shoulder?
Yeah, I'm doing the shoulder. Yeah. Nope, not a half body. I'm doing shoulder. When I went in there and talked to the taxidermist, he actually had a bear in there that he was working on from somebody else down in Carolina. And it looked really, really good. But I think I'm going to do a pedestal. Just kind of, I think it'll fit well where it's going to go out in my cabin. It'll look good. So the bear, the hide's getting used for the mount. I've already processed the meat, and I just had me a nice burger tonight with it. Delicious, absolutely delicious. It's one of my favorite meats. The fat right now is sitting in the crock pot. It's been rendering since 10:30 this morning. It's about done. I wasn't ready for the smell of that, Heath. I wasn't prepared for that.
Did you cut all the red out of it?
I cut as much out of it as I could, but it's still just very. It's just different. Like, I don't know.
I mean that's what we cook. That's what we cook in.
Yeah.
All the bear fat, we render all of it, and that's what we use to cook with. I mean, that's it.
Yeah, and so I made sure I got, and I might have done it wrong. I don't know. I mean, I watched some videos, watched Clay Newcomb's deal on how to do it.
Yeah.
But I got all the meat off of it. Now, some of it was like stained red. So I put that in there. I didn't think that was.
I'd have cut it out.
But it's like it went through the whole thing, kind of almost. I don't know. It was almost like it was stained. Like, I did try to scrape it some, but I don't know. We'll see how it turns out. It should be done when we get done.
See how it turns out.
When we get done recording here, I'm going to go out there and strain it and put it in the jars and do all that stuff. So
get the cracklings out of it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that's going to be me.
They're not bad. I eat them.
Do you?
Oh yeah.
Basham would eat them. Basham eats anything.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Sorry, we've made you be so quiet. We kind of left you out of this one.
Oh, it ain't no biggie. It ain't no biggie at all.
Well, heck, he's on the road. He's on the road. He's in the truck. He looks tired. He looks like a whoop dog. Looks like he ran a race himself.
Yeah.
Poor little feller. Greg did say to come back so he can show you how to keep climbing mountains. It was an open invitation.
Well,
I definitely will.
To your defense, Basham, he can't see. So whatever happens, just say, "Nah, it never happened," because he can't see.
Gosh.
That year we went, he whooped our tail. Hell, that last one that me and Bryce went to, and it was a slick tree, but
no, it was a den.
That's the one
it was a den.
Was it?
Yes, it was a den.
Yeah,
It was a big den
That
tree.
wasn't no bear den.
I don't know. I mean, it was a big enough hole.
Anyways, that's where they drove around and picked us up.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember picking y'all up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had to go through those rock cliffs, and that's where I think I broke my foot at.
Well, if you were wearing muck boots, I guarantee it.
Can't teach him nothing, Heath. You can lead a horse to water. You can't make him drink. I tried to tell him.
Hey, he thinks the same thing about you.
I don't know. We don't have time to go into that. We're going to wrap this thing up. It's getting late. Heath needs to go to bed.
Basham, you got to come back. Just whenever you want to. Come on back.
Oh, I definitely will. Like I said, I was aiming to. I know last year kind of didn't happen, and then this year I actually ended up. I was working 16-hour days whenever he went back up there, so I wasn't able to get away from work long enough to be able to come up. So definitely plan on making that a trip next year, and hopefully we can climb those mountains again.
Well, hopefully we'll just have some dogs and plenty of bear that we can catch and have a good time, because it's definitely when you're catching them, it makes things a lot better, don't it, Bryce?
Oh yeah, yep. It makes it all worthwhile. So guys, I really appreciate you.
One thing that kind of was different for me whenever I did go was, like you kind of mentioned on Bryce, it's a different world.
Yeah, it is.
The camaraderie and the teamwork between, Heath and Greg and Hot Rod and all them, and working together, even though Heath might have 6 dogs and Greg might have 7 or 8 dogs and Hot Rod might have 10 or 12 dogs, being able to work together for one common goal, it's just, that's really what intrigued me. It wasn't even harvesting a bear or anything like that. It was the dog work and the camaraderie between houndsmen.
Yeah, it's a good time.
Yeah, and you can't keep, when those dogs cross 2 mountain ranges, you can't keep up with them. Like, if you're in the woods, you're just out of it. So you gotta have those people that help.
Yeah, you sure do. It's 2 different worlds, and it's a world that I'm glad that I've been exposed to, and keep going back year after year. Don't know if I'll make it next year. I got a wedding and honeymoon and all that good stuff, so I'm not sure if I'll make it next year, but we'll definitely be back, and we'll get Basham back in the saddle. Hopefully get him under a nice bear. He can harvest him one, so that's what I'm looking forward to. Basham, you got anything else?
Nope, that's it, buddy.
Heath?
Hey, it was nice talking to you, Heath. It's been a while.
Yeah, absolutely. Y'all holler if you need anything.
Right on, guys. Well, thank you so much for listening to the Semper Doggin podcast. We appreciate all of you guys. Be sure to go over and check out all of our awesome sponsors. They're really good to us. Support those that support you. We couldn't do it without them. So big thank you to them. Hope you guys enjoyed this, and kind of a little bit different than what we're used to doing, just sitting around, kind of like telling some campfire stories, just 3 buddies just shooting the bull. So if you guys don't have anything else here, we're going to sign off this one, and we'll catch them all at the next one. Y'all good?
I'm good.
All good.
All right, guys. We'll see you on the next episode of the Semper Doggin podcast. Make sure you go over to our Facebook page and check that out as well. You can find all our new content, Doggin Tuesdays, everything that's going on over there, and we'll catch you at the next one. See ya.